But you got a flag down.
Oofside.
Everyone but the center. Offense.
You're listening to Oofsides on Track and Turf Media.
Talking about playoffs?
But they are who we thought they were.
Who's gonna win it all?
Football.
And who is Dunyan Rings?
You play to win the game.
Live from the Dieter Brock studio.
Don't let these tears fool you. There's all a dog around this mug.
Here's the crew that's bringing it all to you.
Welcome to Oofsides. Week 5 is in the books, and what a week it was. I'm here with Dewey.
Yeah.
And
Help.
the football man.
Football. Football.
You know how they say that, like, if you take too much Benadryl, you see the Hat Man.
Uh-huh.
If you ingest too much football, you see Steven.
Yeah, pretty much. That happened to me on Sunday.
Good thing
I
I've seen them already.
Actually,
ate
the
too
combination
many
of
footballs.
Saturday into Sunday of overwhelming surplus of football this week.
Yeah, and diggity.
Has left me dazed and confused.
So that's just a normal weekend for you then.
Yeah. You too.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, watching the Cowboys usually leaves me feeling that way.
Yeah.
But maybe this week
What-
would be a rare exception.
Watching the Steelers I think that should be grounds for like mental illness, I think. I think I should get disability social security benefits from being a Steelers fan.
You should get financial compensation for that.
Yes, I should.
Well, I guess we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah.
Week 5 saw the final winless team join the ranks of the winners. But it also started with instant classic of a Thursday night game where the Buccaneers traveled to Atlanta fresh off a signature win. Could have been a moment of establishing themselves in the NFC, and instead it was the Falcons coming out on top with a botched final drive by the Buccaneers, handed the Falcons the ball right back. Younghoe Koo drills a 50-yarder to send it to overtime, and then after winning the coin toss, the Falcons took it right down the field with an electric final play of the game with Cardero. Oh my God, how do I pronounce his first name? Hodge.
Kadero,
I think.
Cardero, that's what it is. Yes, Cardero Hodge, a 45-yard touchdown run to end the game right then and there. The first signature win of the Kirk Cousins era. This was a game that, it was just back and forth all day. Both defenses just seemingly went to sleep.
I
Go ahead.
I think it's more pressing to say that this is what, year 2 or year 3 of the Amazon Thursday night deal, and this is the first game
year
that's
3.
actually year
Yeah.
3 of the Amazon deal, and it's the first game that's worth a shit.
Pretty
I'm
much.
trying to think of one that didn't make Al Michaels want to die.
Before we go any further, Kirk Cousins threw for 509 yards,
He was, just unstoppable.
which is a franchise record for the Falcons, and he became the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 250 or more yards in both halves of a game,
Good lord.
That is
including
nuts.
overtime.
Yeah,
That.
That stat alone just got the Bucks defense. They got Vita Vea back this game, and so they were able to stop the run game, which they were just absolutely run all over in previous weeks without him. But didn't help much in the pass protection when you allow
No.
that kind of thing to happen. Also, I can't remember. When this was from a couple weeks ago, but you mentioning the Thursday night thing reminded me. It was a tweet by at D Filippo, and it just says, "Al Michaels, I want to beat every single referee to death with a hammer." Kirk Herbstreit, Devin Singletary went to Florida Atlantic University. I was just thinking of that immediately.
I need Al Michaels to just start screaming during a game. just full on crash out during a drive.
Just melt it. It reminds me of it was in like a really old John Boyce article where he was talking about, he was like, imagine how terrifying it would be if Randy Johnson pitched an entire game just openly sobbing the entire time.
Worth noting as well, Kyle Pitts had 88 receiving yards in this game. And you think, well, 88 yards isn't, overly impressive, right? Well, that is the fourth most receiving yards in a game in his career, and he was the third leading receiver in this game.
Yeah, we had talked about this, I'm pretty sure it was last week, that he was just non-existent in the Falcons offense. And yeah, they course corrected big time with that one. Finally a big game from him. Drake London, 154 yards through the air. Darnell Mooney cracked 100 yards. That's one of the best pickups of the season also.
The Bears are going to regret letting him go.
Oh, yeah. This game, out of the start, Falcons touchdown, Bucks touchdown, missed field goal. There was no defense to be found in the first half of this game. One punt forced. The final couple drives, though, were, disastrous for the Bucks. They were given so many opportunities to close this game out. With 10:28 to go, they kick a field goal to go up 30-27, and then, tie the game at 30. The Falcons then missed a field goal. They fumble the ball, and then a pass to Tyler Algier gets broken up and intercepted. And so now the Bucks get the ball back with 1:44 left in the game, and
up by
they proceed. 3. A minute, yeah. And they shave 30 seconds off the clock and go -4 yards and punt the ball right back with basically, offensive holding immediately, and then incomplete pass, and then a 1-yard run, and take no time off the clock, punt it back, and then Younghoe Koo is able to drill a 52-yarder with 1 second left on the clock, because Kirk Cousins just took him right down the field with no problem. And then overtime went just as poorly. They lost the coin toss and just had no answer. And like we mentioned earlier, the 45-yard touchdown run was just electric.
Yeah, for a guy that's come off the practice squad and has been clawing for an opportunity for so long, Daryl Hodge finally making his presence known. Obviously, it's a feel-good story, but it's kind of surprising that it's always those kinds of people in these kinds of moments that end up being the ones to step up.
Yeah, I think back to Xavier Howard for the Jets last year, who was the last man signed to the 53-man roster, and he's the one who takes the overtime punt from the Bills to the house to win in week 1.
Yeah.
And he's still their primary punt returner now.
Yeah.
But I was just in awe of how bad of a defensive breakdown like that was for the Bucks at the very end. They had been struggling the entire game, but especially on that play where they just managed to let him go through the one opening that was on the entire field, and they just had no one there to stop him.
They were lost.
There had to be like 4 Bucks within a couple of yards of him, and he just
none of them got there
untouched. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I do want to talk about the Bucks offense because it's very strange. They're very good, but like this has to be the highest ratio of like yards to points that any team has converted, because whenever you look at their yardage totals, they don't move the ball very much, but they always score a lot. Like Baker Mayfield, again, this is a 36-30 game. Baker was 19-24 for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns, right? Like that's basically scoring every time you have the ball. It's crazy. Because like it was the same thing when they played the Lions earlier this year, where the Lions like doubled up them on yardage, and yet the Bucs still won. So like this is a team that just doesn't. It seems like they just don't make a lot of mistakes. They just capitalize on opportunities they get. But unfortunately, like this was the exact type of game where that wasn't gonna do it, especially at the end of the game where all you needed was a first down to win, and they lost yards. So
yeah, it's just a total breakdown. You never see, we always lament that these Thursday games suck, and it puts these guys on a short week, and it always causes these problems. And I just can't help but think if Thursday football is really worth it.
It is for the NFL, but probably not for anybody else.
I think it just causes more problems than it solves.
It's such a weird day to put it on too.
Yeah, like I get it in terms of the laws and everything, but in the window you're working in, you really can't do much else, and it's just so disconnected from the rest of the week that it really just throws everybody off.
Yeah. It is odd. It's such a weird like island time slot too. Like Monday makes sense because it's the day after, so it's not that much of a change, and it's prime time. Everybody's coming home from work after the weekend, and then it's right there for you to watch. Yeah, Thursday it's such a weird spot in the week to put a game. Both teams now sit at 3-2, and all of a sudden we got a division race on our hands in the NFC South.
I like
how Falcons won the tiebreaker.
We were all writing this division off at the start of the season, and now all 4 teams look competitive.
Yeah.
Well,
at least Bryce Young isn't.
They won a game.
A game.
Technically in it. So, speaking of winning games, though, we headed to London, where the Vikings and Sam Darnold get revenge on the Jets to advance to 5-0.
Hell yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, for the first time in his career, threw 2 interceptions in the first quarter and threw a third game-sealing pick at the very end. Not the biggest story coming out of this game, which we'll get to in a second, but I'm glad we at least sent a good game to London for once. We'll give them that.
Did we?
It
was all right.
It had drama. There's a lot of suspense at the end.
A dramatic game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about a couple weeks ago again when I brought up how Bill Belichick said basically every team in the NFL liked Sam Darnold coming out of the college and now is in the pros, except for the Jets. And man, is it fitting that the first time that he faces them as a starter, he beats them and sends them spiraling.
Well, technically,
you'll love
it's the second
to fucking
time
see it.
because he played him week 1, 2021 with the Panthers, and guess what? He beat him there too. Sam Darnold is undefeated against the Jets.
My hatred remains undefeated.
Thing that caught my eye about this game is a very non-Darnoldian stat line coming from
Darnoldian?
him. He only threw for 180 yards and got picked off, got sacked 4 times, which not great, but it's going to be interesting to see how he can bounce back. Even though they won, it wasn't as dominating as it has been to start the season.
His second half was not great. I mean, he had a less than 50% completion percentage by the end of the day. They jumped out to a 17-7 lead and then did pretty much nothing in the second half. But their bye week could not come at a better time because they're 5-0. They've had, last week the second half was kind of rough. This week the second half was rough. And now they can go to their bye week and kind of rethink things. But I mean, there's part of me that's kind of doubted if the Vikings are for real. And this is the type of game that makes me think like, okay, yeah, they're going to be fine because Brian Flores' defense, good God,
man,
it takes nasty. It takes a genius to make Aaron Rodgers look the way he did. because that last drive they were driving and the defense forces Rodgers into an overthrow on Mike Williams that would have been a walk-in touchdown. And Rodgers just misses it. And then the interception that he throws, I don't know if Rodgers just put the ball in the wrong place or if it was a miscommunication with the receiver, but it was ugly and it ended the game. And I mean, it was one of many ugly moments for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he got pummeled in this game. There's the shot of him crawling to the sideline. I'll have to put in the thumbnail. But that was not the ugliest thing to come out of this game, because as we record this Tuesday, October 8th, this morning, several of us woke up to the news that Robert Saleh, head coach of the New York Jets, has been fired. And yeah, there's a lot of weirdness about that.
That's the wrong choice, obviously. I don't know why. Why would they? What are they doing?
I'm not entirely sold on Saleh as a head coach. Obviously, he's been hampered by terrible quarterback play for 3 seasons. But there's been times, and there's signs that he might not be the guy. But I don't understand. Well, actually, I do understand why he's being fired 5 games in the season, and it's because Aaron Rodgers is realistically the general manager. And that's 100% what it is, because there has been signs throughout this year that Rodgers and Saleh do not see eye to eye.
The hug thing in the Pats game was fucking weird, man.
That was weird.
It goes back even further than that, right? There was the trip to Egypt during the offseason where Saleh basically threw him under the bus for that. If you guys remember that at all. You had the weird hug thing. And then last week, we didn't even talk about this because I didn't hear about this afterwards. But did you hear the thing with the QB cadence that Saleh was talking about?
I meant to mention that on the show last week, and it completely slipped my mind.
So the Jets got called for like 5 false start penalties last week. And part of it is Aaron Rodgers, much like Peyton Manning, is a master at like the cadence and messing with the defense at the line of scrimmage and things like that. And Saleh said in his post-game press conference, when asked about all the penalties, something along the lines of, maybe we need to simplify the cadences at the line of scrimmage or, pre-play, just so we can execute better. Because he's like, we're doing fine in practice, and then in the game, that was bad. And Rodgers was told that and looked just like pissed off as soon as they said that. And he was like, maybe we should hold our linemen accountable. And basically just directly refuted what Saleh said and basically said, like, I don't know why he's saying that. Which is a bad look.
I saw a clip too. I think it was Damian Woody on ESPN last week, who, of course, played as an offensive lineman for a long time, and a lot of those years were with the Jets. And he was so mad about it that, like, he had the same response that Aaron Rodgers did, but he was so mad that he was, like, yelling on the set on the show about it.
It was a very odd moment of Saleh kind of throwing Rodgers under the bus,
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, not every quarterback does it that way, but clearly it works because he's made a Hall of Fame career for himself. Maybe your offensive line can just spend a little bit more time in practice trying to get coordinated and make sure they hear the cadence right and they, react accordingly to it, not get 5 false starts in a single game and cost yourself a win.
Yeah. And then there was the biggest one, which was mentioned on Heed the Call this morning, which, little backstory for y'all. Heed the Call is a show hosted by former hosts of the Around the NFL podcast, Dan Hansis and Mark Sessler. I've listened to nearly every single episode since 2019. Like, a few episodes in 2020 are the only ones that I've missed since then. Huge fan of Around the NFL. And Around the NFL is a show produced by NFL Media. And earlier this season, in I think May, it was either April or May, they did their like Around the AFC episode or something like that, and they had Colleen Wolfe on the episode. And if anybody knows anything about NFL Media, Colleen Wolfe is like extremely respected. She's great. She does great work. And they were talking about the Jets, and she mentioned that she had some like very trustworthy sources who told her that at some kind of like preseason dinner, that Saleh and the owner, Woody Johnson, kind of got into a confrontation. Like, not physical, but like a heated discussion. And then in the next week, Colleen had to issue a formal apology about saying that. And then after a month of radio silence and no new episodes, Dan Hanzus basically announced that his contract that he was in the process of negotiating was pulled off the table after that episode. And that was the last ever episode of Around the NFL. And Mark Sessler left without him. Or left with him. And they formed a new show. And the thing that was very interesting is Roger Goodell gets a lot of shit, but the one thing I've always given him credit for is he has always told NFL media, say whatever you want to say, right? He, like Rich Eisen has said that explicitly, that he taught when Roger Goodell first became commissioner, and Rich basically asked him like what he can say, and Goodell told him, speak your mind. Do not hold back. Just because you're an NFL employee does not mean you can't say what you believe. And so I've always appreciated that he has that policy, and for the most time that's worked. And then this happens, and one of your like top rated talents has to issue a formal apology for reporting on a story, and the host of your most popular podcast is all of a sudden not being negotiated with anymore for a new contract. And then all of a sudden Saleh gets fired 5 games into the season. Sounds like somebody's trying to cover something up. That's all it is. Yeah. It's fishy. So, and this whole firing, I think it just proves that Aaron Rodgers runs the team, and he's never really liked Robert Saleh, and this is him flexing his might to get this guy out of there.
Yeah. Did we see the thing that came out this morning about Saleh removing Nathaniel Hackett's play calling duties?
Oh, I did see that.
Right after that, he got the call that he was fired.
Well, yeah, wasn't he planning on firing him too?
The rumor I saw was that he was just going to fire Hackett, and that when he showed up and reported for work, Woody Johnson just pulled him aside, fired him, and he got escorted out of the building by team security. And he couldn't even meet with the players first to tell him that he was fired. He was just gone.
So anyway, how's that Aaron Rodgers trade going?
And I guess we were going to save this, I guess, for the dues, but since we're already here, might as well go, full in depth with it. The last time that the Jets made an in-season head coaching change was 1976.
Yeah, Woody Johnson has never fired a coach mid-season before this.
And that
Adam
year
Gase lasted a full season.
He lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
But that firing in 1976 was Lou Holtz being fired with 1 game left in the year.
Well, actually, if we want to be more specific about it, Lou Holtz resigned. Technically, I don't think they've ever fired a coach mid-season, now that I think about it.
Do you think Hassan Reddick is watching the Jets like he just got the last chopper out of Nam?
Oh!
Well, it's funny you say that, too. Yeah, here's an article from an hour ago, literally an hour ago, from Rich Samini of ESPN, which is Woody Johnson publicly calling on Hassan Reddick to end his holdout and report to the team when they still have not gotten that contract signed and negotiated and all that shit yet.
That might be the most insane part about this, right? Because their GM, whose name currently escapes me, basically Joe Douglas. It was either Douglas or Saleh. It was one of those two. When asked about Hassan Reddick earlier in the year, basically said that it was like out of his control, which was implying that like we traded for him and now ownership won't fork out the money to pay him, right? And I cannot believe that people are mad at Hassan Reddick still, when it was like he wanted out of his old team because they wouldn't pay him, and then the Jets traded for him and still refused to pay him. Like, what is he supposed to fucking do?
He has the same problem in a different place.
Yeah, it's the Jets' fault because they knew what he wanted. And it's insane that Woody Johnson can come out and say, oh man, just come rejoin the team. Like, he's literally doing the guy in the hot dog costume. We're all trying to find the guy who did this. Like, who could possibly be the reason why Hassan Reddick won't play for us?
Okay, but the way that this was phrased is even better. So Hassan Reddick lives in Camden, New Jersey, which is right across the Delaware River from Philadelphia, right? It's about an hour and a half from the Meadowlands. And the way that Woody Johnson phrased this was, So, Hassan, get in your car, drive down I-95, and come to the New York Jets. We can meet you and give you an escort right in the building, and you will fit right in, and you're going to love it here, and you're going to feel welcome, and you're going to accomplish great things with us. Now, for anybody that's ever been to New Jersey, that is not an hour and a half drive. My ass, that's an hour and a half drive. But it almost feels like a way that two friends would talk to each other about something, and it's like, this is the owner of a team talking about a player he's having a dispute with, and it's just, the energy is fucking weird, man.
It's tone deaf. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, coming into this year, I was like, man, it'd be fun to watch the Jets be competitive, but now it's just fun watching them completely melt down.
Great, now you view them how I have for 15 years.
Yeah.
But-
I openly lost my shit when Rodgers threw that last interception on Sunday while I was laying in bed.
Oh, I was screaming, especially since it was Stephon Gilmore that caught it.
Yeah.
It was like an afterthought this entire offseason. Signed with the Vikings like a week before the season started, and he ended up sealing the win with the pick.
Oh
But-
my gosh.
The Jets, for me, are starting to venture into that territory where as long as they have their current ownership, they're not winning shit. And you know what? With me being a Pats fan, I'm totally okay with Woody Johnson owning the Jets for the next 200 fucking years.
It always starts at the top. That's what I've been saying all season, and for Woody Johnson to say something like that to a player he's having a dispute with, it's tone deaf. And if I were a football player, I wouldn't want to go to the Jets.
And not even
Like,
12 hours after making the decision to fire the head coach without the input of the general manager. Because Woody Johnson came out and openly said that it was entirely his decision. So you don't consult the guy that you hired to make decisions like that. And you don't consult, maybe, should you consult Aaron Rodgers? Well, maybe some people will say yes, maybe some people will say no. But if there's one guy on the team you'd probably want to do that to, it's your franchise quarterback. He didn't consult Aaron Rodgers either. He just went and fucking did it.
You guys remember that time the Jets went through the entire draft and then fired their GM like a week after the draft?
Odd.
Why is God? It's just unbelievable.
I can't believe from a week ago we've gone from having, potentially signing Devontae Adams and becoming a contender for the AFC East to becoming a joke again on a national stage.
Oh, well, that was the other thing I was just about to mention, is they have been the leading trade candidate for Devontae Adams. And I'm sure Devontae would still love to play with Aaron Rodgers, but are you going to watch this meltdown and go, Buffalo seems nice.
I mean, Devontae Adams would just be in the same situation Hassan Reddick is, where he's going to go from one organization that's a mess to another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He may have a couple buddies there, but it's still a mess.
It was funny because going into this week, the two leading candidates were like, oh, he could go to the Jets to reunite with Aaron Rodgers, or he could go to New Orleans to reunite with Derek Carr. And those have been like the two leading candidates that have inquired about him. And now it's like, well, the Jets are a mess and Derek Carr died. So
Yeah,
I don't know where he's going to go.
Still was going Super Bowl.
Damn right. Pick him
But-
up.
One other thing about the Jets too, before we move on here, is despite the offense being a consistent struggle, the defense has been probably the most consistent in the NFL during his entire tenure as head coach. Since the 2021 season began, the Jets defense is first in points per drive, first in EPA per play, and third in success rate. And the defense as a whole has played the fourth most snaps in the league among that stretch of time.
It's almost like that's what you hired Robert Saleh for.
Yeah.
Who could have thought? So, yeah,
I'm
Jets
sure.
are good.
I was going to say, I'm sure Kyle Shanahan will be giving him a call very soon.
Yeah.
Or somebody.
Oh, yeah.
He will not be unemployed for long.
No. So the Jets continue to be an embarrassment, and the Vikings keep on winning. Speaking of continuing to be an embarrassment, we had a brief respite from it, and now the Panthers are just back to being the Panthers. because they had a terrible day in Chicago. And just to rub salt in the wounds, Caleb Williams had his arrival game. 20 of 29 for 304 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. Also 5 carries for 34 yards. I feel like we've been seeing steady improvement every week, and this was finally the game where it was like, oh yeah, Caleb Williams is going to be all right.
And DJ Moore fucking torched the Panthers defense.
Yeah, in an
ideal world, yeah. And I'm sure Panthers fans right now are just dreaming of the CJ Stroud to DJ Moore connection on their team, and instead we got this. Should be noted as well that the Bears have the longest active home winning streak in the NFL. This was their 8th home win in a row dating back to last year.
That is crazy.
Of all teams, the Bears.
Yeah, and it was, Andy Dalton did not have a very good day. This was very much a crashing back down to earth type of game.
We got Bryce Young again.
Yeah.
It's gone full circle in 2 weeks.
God, it would be so hilarious if this was like a Roger Staubach. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the quarterback who was there at the time, where Tom Landry would just swap them out like every 3 plays. Bryce, get back in there. Bryce, get back over here. What did you do? Just every time.
Just run a 2 QB offense. Put them out there at the same time. You never know who's going to run it.
Yeah, that was my idea with the Ravens back in the day when they had RG3. Is just have them both in the backfield and just confuse everybody.
That's what they should do with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields once Russ is healthy.
Yeah.
More on that later, unfortunately.
It's 6 QBs.
Yeah, Caleb Williams finally figured out how to be good. Between all the... there's always a contingent of people that expect every new quarterback to bust. And I think we're finally seeing quarterback that's actually being good in their first couple years in NFL. And I can't remember the last time we've seen somebody this young pop off like Caleb Williams so far.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. I'm trying to think about it.
Because last couple classes for quarterbacks have been fucking terrible.
Yeah, last year, we had CJ Stroud, which took a hot minute to kind of heat up. Trevor Lawrence was bad in his rookie year. Really nobody in the 2021 class was good that year. There was nobody in the 2022 class except Kenny Pickett.
Probably Burrow in 2020 before he tore his ACL.
Yeah. I guess the last time we saw a full great rookie quarterback season, probably Baker.
One of the ones even his rookie year. Fuck.
Yeah. Probably Baker in 2018. That's the last one I can think of. But yeah, it is crazy to think about that. You can look at the stat sheet and be like, yeah, 400 yards of offense for the Bears, and that could just be normal. It feels wrong.
They might actually get their 4,000-yard passer.
Yeah. What is he at right now? Let's see.
He is at 1,091. He's a fourth of the way there through 5 games, and he's got 12 left.
That's doable.
It is doable, yeah.
The problem is he's going all over the place because in his 5 games this year, he's thrown for 93, 174, 363, 157, and 304.
Yeah, I think he is trending upward though.
He's starting to gel.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, the DJ Moore connection is unreal. Cole Kmet also very good. They finally got the ground game running with DeAndre Swift in this game. And that's one of the biggest parts about it too, is he dished the ball out to everybody, right? Keenan Allen was in it. Roma Dunze was part of it.
Swift had a couple receptions too, I think.
Yeah. So this was just all around, just a great game by the Bears. Total offensive and defensive domination. And the Panthers were definitely fool's gold, as it turns out, because Andy Dalton did not have a good game. And like you mentioned, Bryce Young came back in. So who knows what's going on there in Carolina.
And yet they're only a game behind the team I thought they'd finish ahead of, so that take might be coming back. We might be back.
Oh god. Yeah. Go Bears.
Duh, Bears.
Another 1-4 team. The Cincinnati Bengals. What the fuck,
Yikes,
man?
dog.
When I talked about a disastrous drive by the Buccaneers earlier, I think the Bengals might have one-upped them in this game.
Yeah.
I'm hitting the panic button now because the Ravens are hitting their stride, and the Bengals, like I mentioned, are 1-4. It's not often that you have a quarterback, and I mean just an offense in general that's just rolling. This is the second time in 3 weeks that they've scored 30+ points and lost.
Something like that.
Let's take a look at their records so far. Yeah. So they scored 25, lost to the Chiefs. They scored 33, lost to the Commies. They had to score 34 to beat the Panthers, and then they scored 38 and lost in overtime. Yeah, this is a team that just can't get it done.
Yeah, he threw for 5 touchdowns, Joe Burrow did, and had almost 400 yards. And you'd see a stat line like that, and you think, wow, they must have won, right? No. No. Because Lamar Jackson threw for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns in the same game. And I do want to specifically talk about one of them. That scramble, I can't remember what part of the game it was in, but the scramble he had to find Isaiah Likely in the middle of the end zone was fucking ridiculous.
Having watched this entire game from start to finish, that is one of the best individual performances I've ever seen a quarterback put on.
Oh yeah, what's
genuinely unbelievable how good Lamar is.
I was gonna say you could say that about either quarterback in this game. They were both unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean Jamar Chase had almost 200 yards.
Yeah, yeah. I mean we always thought. I mean the narrative around the Ravens for the last few years has been their inability to close games out. The Bengals had leads of 10 points 3 times in the fourth quarter and couldn't close this game out. And it really turned around after 6 straight touchdown drives by both teams in the second half. Not a single punt. And then Burrow throws an interception deep into Baltimore territory. They drive down the field, get a field goal, and that ties the game and sends it to overtime. And good God, the Ravens tried to throw this one away with a Lamar Jackson fumble. Cincinnati gets the ball back at the Baltimore 38. Okay. Already in field goal range. Okay. 3-yard run. Run for no gain. Missed the field goal. It was a bad snap. Edmund McPherson couldn't do anything about it. Give the ball back to Baltimore.
Totally fucked it up.
Yeah, the very next play, Derrick Henry runs it for 51 yards, and they kick a 24-yarder from the Cincinnati 6 to win. I mean, just brutal.
What more
all you have to do
if you're Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
Derrick Henry has scored a touchdown in all 5 games with the Ravens so far.
He's also the leading rusher in the NFL right now. At 30 years old.
Fucking terrifying.
And
I think I said this last week. I don't know how a man that big can run that fast. That is not possible.
He just glides too when he runs.
He once he gets up to full speed, he just keeps going.
Yeah.
A man that size shouldn't be able to run that fast, and yet like him and for anyone that's watched college football, Ashton Jonty at Boise State looks to me like a carbon copy of Derrick Henry. The way they run upfield is unbelievable.
Okay.
Watching Lamar through most of the season, getting his games, it's given me a lot of respect and a lot of tape watching this team, and I would feel pretty confident saying they're the Super Bowl favorites right now.
They're
now that they've gotten over that start.
The record doesn't mean anything. As soon as they get gelled, I think they're the best team in football.
And they're pretty much there now.
Yeah, because at this rate, who's going to challenge them in the North? Obviously the Bengals can still. The Bengals are a good team. They're not winning games right now.
Yeah, they just have a bad record.
And
the
that
Steelers
could
are
sink
starting
their
to
season.
break apart.
The Browns are a fucking mess.
The Browns, yeah.
Everybody's in various stages of disarray except for the Ravens. They're just getting off of their bad starts of the season.
Yeah.
Worth noting for the Ravens as well, the weekly Mark Andrews "What the hell is going on?" watch. He had more receiving yards than Isaiah Likely in this game. However, Isaiah Likely had 2 touchdowns, and they were both outgained by third stringer Charlie Kolar.
Who?
I don't know.
Who is this?
He was apparently a 4th round pick out of Iowa State 2 years ago, and he had 64 receiving yards and a touchdown, which is the second most yards on the team behind Zay Flowers in this game.
The fuck?
The Ravens' tight end room is so confusing right now. I don't know what to make of any of it.
So weird.
But somehow it works.
Yeah. So the Ravens 3-2, Bengals fall to 1-4. They are officially in panic territory.
Yikes, dog.
Another team that I'm starting to get a little concerned about is the Buffalo Bills, as the Houston Texans come out on top 23-20. It seems like teams not putting away games in golden opportunities seems to be a trend, because this was a disaster by the Bills coaching staff. Almost as disastrous as the Texans uniforms. Ayo.
This should not have been a 3-point game, because Josh Allen in this game was 9 for 30. Not a typo. Not a thing. 9 for 30.
He looked off at the start of this game, and then they put things together in the third quarter, and then there was that like big hit where I don't know if he was concussed or if he had some kind of chest injury or what it was, but he was just not the same again after that. And the end of this game was just inexplicable, because
what was that?
Yeah, I mean, they get the ball back on their own 3-yard line. It's tied 20-all with 20 seconds left in the game. And the goal here is pick up a first down and just run time off the clock, because the Texans have all 3 timeouts, right? And instead, what they do is they throw an incomplete pass on the game, or on the first play of the drive. And they also got called for OPI, but it was declined. Second play, incomplete pass. Third play, incomplete pass and punt. They took 25 seconds off the clock. And then the Texans were basically immediately in field goal range and kicked the game winner. Like, just inexplicable. And also on, I don't remember if it was the pass to get them into field goal range. They had both safeties like 25 yards deep. I don't know what they were doing there. Just insane coaching at the end of this game.
But Kaimi Fairbairn also just kind of let his nuts hang on that kick. That was a 59-yarder to win the game.
Dude.
Ice in his veins.
Yeah, the redemption arc of Kaimi Fairbairn has been unreal.
I will say, though, the Patriots may be terrible right now, but if there's one silver lining, it's seeing the rest of the AFC East flounder and flop around at the same time. This is extremely entertaining to watch. And, like, I truly don't know who's going to win the division anymore, because everybody's playing like shit.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm concerned, especially, I mean, if the Bills just lose this game, like, it's one thing, but for Josh Allen to look as bad as he did, and the possible injury that he had, and just everything about this game was weird. I mean, the Stephon Diggs side eye, that'll be in the thumbnail also.
I don't understand why they didn't take him out of the game, because he was pretty obviously concussed.
I don't either, man.
Yeah.
Like,
and I get this if you pass your neurological test, you can come back in, but the coach has to make the decision if that's the right guy to get back on the field.
I think that protocol is way too lenient anyway.
Absolutely. But if you see your other option is Mitch Trubisky, I can understand why you're hesitant to resort to that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, actually, that makes sense. God, I hate watching Mitch Trubisky play football.
The Bills are such a talented team that will not get over the hump until they can get a good staff around.
Yeah, they're in this weird spot, and the Cowboys are kind of in the same spot where they have a coach who is Sean McDermott is a good coach. Like, clearly, demonstrably, the Bills are a fucking powerhouse because of him, right? But I
don't think he's a Super Bowl coach, though.
Yeah, he exists in this weird window where they just don't seem like they're ever going to get over the hump with him there, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Andy Reid with the Eagles, where Andy Reid was fantastic, but they just couldn't get over the hump. And eventually, at some point, you gotta look at where it all starts, and it's from the top down. And it's so weird too, because this is a team that their roster got worse, but they're better. Like, they don't have as many stars on the team as they did last year. And it honestly, in a way, it kind of helps. Josh Allen was playing great through 3 weeks. And even last week, he was having a weirdo game, turned it around in the second half, and then immediately the team collapsed after that. So I think Josh Allen's in a dark spot right now. I think that, that it fumble in the second half against the Ravens, like, you saw like a noticeable change in his composure in that game. And it really carried over to this game. And then again, it seemed like he was getting back on track, and then it just went all to shit again after that big hit.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about this team, because when they were on, they were destroying people. And it's so weird to feel so down and out on a team after a 3-point loss, but it doesn't feel good right now.
It should not have been a 3-point loss. This is the kind of performance where you lose by like 25. Like, the fact that it was 3 was only because the Texans tried to give it back to him over and over again.
Yeah. Maybe they
but
looked at their uniforms
even then,
in the
it
mirror.
should not have been that close.
God, those Texans uniforms might be the worst uniforms I've ever seen. Those are atrocious. Who the fuck signed off on those?
Their whole rebrand has not been.
They just should have used red instead of dark blue.
Like,
and now they're trying to force the baby blue instead of just letting the Titans have it, and it's just a mess. This is all the Titans' fault.
I was going to say, it feels like they're just playing tug of war over the Oilers at this point.
Yeah.
Let the baby have their bottle, rebrand to red, you'll look better.
Dude, that was the thing I never understood either. It was like, their old uniforms were fine. Like, they were basic, but like,
they were dated.
They needed a refresh, but they didn't do a good job.
And they did the complete wrong thing, which is to like go hyper modern with it, and it looks like shit now. They have 3 different helmet designs for this year. What are we doing? Stop.
They're 4-1 though, which is, great for them. They're starting to put a little distance between themselves and everybody else in that division, which is a fucking shit show and a half right now.
Yeah, they're a good team. They're just really fucking ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of looking at them.
4-1 H-Town.
You know what team was noticeably easier to look at this week, though? It was the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to pitch out a theory here. Their current uniforms, 0-4, with the throwbacks, undefeated. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
I tweeted about this. The Jags have this awesome color combo of teal, gold, and black, and instead they just wear black on white 90% of the time. This is karma. Bring back gold and teal.
Would like to note though, one thing about this game: the Jaguars led 20-10 entering the fourth quarter, and it ended 37-34.
They tried so hard to throw it away again. They were trying, but
24 points in the fourth.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence wouldn't let them. There's been a lot of criticism. I mean, even from here about Trevor Lawrence recently. Genuinely a great game, 28-34, 370 yards. And I think the thing you have to feel good about if you're the Jags here is it's the fourth quarter. The Colts scored a tie, and Trevor Lawrence leads you on a clutch drive to get you into field goal range. Your 2021 first overall pick. And on the next drive, Joe Flacco is sacked by Travon Walker to end the game, your 2022 first overall pick. 2 guys who have their moments, but, especially in Travon Walker's case, just kind of disappear at times. And so it's got to make you feel good that your 2 the face of each, or your two stars, right? The face of each side of your team are coming up big in a very important game.
Yeah, he had. Go ahead.
No.
Okay.
No.
He had 3 sacks in this game, which breakout game for sure for Travon Walker, but also that's the kind of drive at the end of the game that they gave Trevor Lawrence $200 and whatever million a year to do. Like when they signed off on that contract and made it official, that's the vision they had.
Oh yeah.
And they finally got it in this game, and they're still 1-4. They're still in a pretty deep hole. But if they're going to recover from it and try to do something this year, this is a great start for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think a big thing to count for this is the breakout of Tank Bigsby finally, in that he got 100 yards on the ground and a few more through the air. Kind of usurping Travis Etienne as the number 1 running back for this team right now.
Well, I mean, to go even further, their first round pick from this year, Brian Thomas Jr., 122 yards and a touchdown through the air, too. Like, this was a game where all of their young stars that we needed to see something out of all came out to play in this game.
Yeah.
If there's one thing the Jags have been good at the last couple of years, it's been drafting. It's just needing all of that to finally come together into a cohesive unit. And they've obviously had the stretches of it, but not consistently enough. And if this can be a springboard towards that, maybe this season isn't lost for them after all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the playoff picture right now. I know it's only week 5. I mean, the Chargers are the 7 seed right now,
and they've looked like shit for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Have you watched the Chargers this year?
Yeah. I Chargers football has happened to me. That should be more of that financial compensation that we were talking about.
Yeah, you definitely deserve to be compensated for that.
Yeah.
Oh, and also shout out Joe Flacco for throwing for 359 yards and 3 touchdowns as a 39-year-old. Father Time cannot catch that fucking man. It doesn't matter what you do.
I mean, he even had a big rush on the ground too.
Yeah, he had a 20-yard run. They don't call him White Lightning for nothing.
Honestly, I don't know how serious Anthony Richardson's injury is, but and I hope he can come back this year and be competitive and good and everything, because he's an electrifying player to watch. But at the same time, I'm really intrigued to see what Joe Flacco could do over a full year and see if he could lead this team to the playoffs like Gardner Minshew almost did last year.
I think if Flacco keeps winning, he starts for the rest of the year. I don't think you put Richardson in unless you are, I don't want to say desperate, but you're in a situation where it's like, we need a spark or we're just completely out of it. Let's get the kid some time.
Yeah.
Because
let him sit and learn from Flacco. Because, I mean, he's doing a hell of a job out there, and I'm sure probably the best backup in the league for any team. He's learning better than anybody else could be right now.
Yeah. I mean, the Jets and Browns both said they weren't interested in him over the last 2 years, and look how that's going.
Which is especially crazy for the Browns, considering he's the only reason why they made the fucking playoffs last year.
Yep. God. I wonder what caused that.
More on them later.
Yeah. But yeah, the Colts fall to 2-3. Jags now sit at 1-4. And not totally done in rings. I think we said if they lost this week, they were done in rings. So they survive the deep fryer for a week. Might as well just call this game the Done in Rings Bowl, because I think both of these teams are going on it. The Miami Dolphins beat the New England Patriots 15-10.
I hate everything.
This game just hurt. Just everything was bad in this game. Nothing good came out of this game.
Well, couple notes for this game. It's going to be the final start for Jacoby Brissett for the foreseeable future, because it is being reported today that Drake May is starting Week 6 against the Texans, which makes me very happy. I hope the offensive line can prevent him from snapping his leg in half. But Ramondre Stevenson got benched for this game because he fumbled in each of the first 4 games. He ended up with one of his best games of the year as a result. But besides that, both of these offenses were just, like, anemic is putting it lightly. This just fucking hurt to watch. It was awful.
Yeah, I mean...
And I'm going to go on a rant, but I want to talk about the rest of this game first, before I do.
It's just incredible. I mean, how bad this Dolphins team is. Like, even with Tua in there, they were not playing
They're so talented!
They barely beat the Jags in week 1, and they got absolutely blown out by the Bills before Tua got hurt. I mean, Tyler Huntley did nothing in this game.
And then blown out by the Seahawks, and blown out by the winless Titans. Yeah, in prime time at home.
Devon Achane got hurt in this game as well, which is a huge
That was a nasty
loss.
concussion, yeah.
Yeah, man, it's so...
They had 193 rushing yards, though. Like, the Patriots could not stop the run at all, and yet the game was still this close.
Yeah. Oh, God, I forgot OBJ is even playing for them. 2 targets, 0 receptions.
And, I mean, I guess there's really nothing else to talk about. This game just fucking sucked ass. The Dolphins had 372 yards of offense, which doesn't even make sense, because with the way this game went, you'd think they'd had like 100. But, now, the part about this game that pissed me the fuck off was, so the Patriots were down by that score, and Jacoby Brissett had probably his best drive of the season, led the Pats all the way down the field. They've got the ball with like a minute left in the game, and he hits Jalen Polk in the back of the end zone for what everybody in the fucking stadium thought was a touchdown to give the Patriots the lead and probably the win with how the Dolphins played in this game. You know, he catches the ball, his right foot was totally on the ground, got the heel down and everything, gets his left toe in, but then the left heel hits out of bounds, and I didn't even know this, but I guess, you know, if you're standing up and you're falling out towards the sideline, you can toe drag for a catch, but I guess if you're falling backwards, you have to get both of your fucking heels inbounds too. Like, I didn't even know this was a rule on the book, but because Jalen Polk was falling backwards instead of going out on the sideline, he had to get his entire foot inbounds. So even though he drug his left toe in, it was ruled incomplete and they lost. Why is that a rule?
That is bizarre, yeah.
Like, that has to be, and obviously there's bias here because it completely fucked the Patriots, but like, even with that aside, why would you have 2 different rule sets for the same type of catch? Like, either don't call toe drags a catch, or the toe heel needs to be abolished, because there's no reason why that shouldn't have been a touchdown. He got both of his toes in before his heel hit out of bounds, and as far as I'm concerned, that should be no different than a toe drag.
Yeah, that is really bizarre to me. I did not know that was a rule.
Yeah, I had never seen that rule before, and so when they ruled it incomplete, I was beyond confused because I had no clue that was a thing. And the Dolphins somehow couldn't even kneel the ball out. They had to punt and gave the Pats the ball back somehow with 10 seconds left or whatever. And so I think they got to like midfield or whatever, and Jacoby Brissett like scrambled, and it's like, all right, you know, maybe just run out of bounds, get like 5 or 6 yards, like 5 seconds left, and try for the end zone. No, he just threw the ball over the middle of the field to Hunter Henry, and so when he caught it, there was 4 seconds left, and there wasn't enough time to spike it.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
And it was just, what the fuck are we doing here? Ugh. Like, that whole fourth quarter was so unbelievably frustrating. And for what it's worth, too, when the Dolphins took the lead in the fourth quarter, that was their first lead in any game all season.
Oh, my God.
They hadn't led in any of their first 4 games. But in this game, they led like that and just somehow won in what might have been the worst game played by any 2 teams this year. And even though the Dolphins are 2-3, this team fucking sucks without Tua, no matter how talented it is. And they're not going anywhere until he's back.
Yeah, I'm ready
if
to
he comes
him.
back.
I look forward to them on Dunyan Rings in a little bit.
And yeah, well, I was gonna nominate the Patriots for Dunyan Rings, but now that I know Drake May is starting this upcoming week, I definitely want to see how it goes with him first. Because even though the offensive line has been very bad, it's not entirely their fault, because Jacoby Brissett has looked like a shell of what he's been his entire career, and a shell of what they signed him to do.
Dude, yeah, it has been shocking.
Miserable.
How ineffective he's been. And I think a big part of that too is just like I don't know what you can expect from him with how. I mean, the best way to describe the Patriots, they're just not talented. Well, they just don't have any talent.
It's not just that they're not talented, but the talent they do have is also hurt. Like they didn't have KJ Osborne for this game. Kendrick Bourne came back in this game because he missed the first 4 games because he tore his ACL last year. David Andrews fucking tore his rotator cuff last week, so their starting center's out for the entire season now. And I think Kyle Duggar was out on defense. Jabril Peppers was hurt, more on him later. So like even the little bit of talent they do have is just they're all injured. Like there's nothing to work with here at all. And it's ugh. And I don't want to go on too much of a soapbox, but obviously with Brady gone now for a few years and Belichick not being there anymore, a lot of stuff's changed and a lot of things are different, but there's still no reason why the post-Brady era had to sink to this level. There's no excuse for it.
Yeah,
there was enough talent left behind where they could have kept their playoff momentum up after 2021. The fact that they're here now is just a complete organizational failure from top to bottom, and Robert Kraft has nobody to blame for it but himself.
It's going to be really interesting to see how history treats Robert Kraft. With all the stuff that's come out about how he's run that team.
I think Robert Kraft has been a cheap ass his entire career, and he just happened to hire the greatest coach of all time, who happens to draft the greatest quarterback of all time, who only got in the game because Drew Bledsoe got split in half.
If we're being honest, he was going to see game time at some point.
Was he though? He was a 6th round pick.
Yes, he was.
They signed Drew Bledsoe to a monster contract.
It was a 10-year contract. It was the biggest contract in NFL history that they signed him to. That was not a guarantee by any means.
At some point, they were going to see him on the field in some capacity. I think the Mo Lewis hit brought him in a lot sooner, but I think he still would have had the same impact if later on, if that hit never happened.
And like, I don't want to seem like, I'm ungrateful or whatever, or being a pissant or anything, but just looking back on it, it kind of seems like to me that Robert Kraft kind of just got carried this entire time, and the thing I look to the most is the NFLPA reports that came out last year and how each team got graded on different aspects, and that despite Brady and Belichick having this long era of greatness, the Patriots ranked towards the bottom of just about every category in that report.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't make any sense. And so now they're here. The bottom is probably falling out at this point. If the season ended today, they'd have the number 1 pick on tiebreakers. And yeah, it's through 5 weeks, but their schedule isn't getting any easier. And while Drake may provide a spark to the offense, this is still a ways away from becoming what it used to be.
I don't think Gerard Mayo is going to be the eventual answer for the Patriots, and I think it's going to be at least a couple years in coaching hell until they can finally find somebody that'll be able to build a program for them to get them back to where they were.
I hope it works. I genuinely hope it works for Gerard Mayo because of what he did for this team and what he's meant for it, but I just don't know.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I just don't think he's going to be given the tools to succeed in this situation.
I think he's going to get a raw deal and he's going to get pushed out too soon. Which will be a shame, because again, he's been a career Patriot. The Patriot way is in his blood. I'm sure he's doing everything he can to, keep the structure and keep a lot of the things that, Belichick had that made the team so successful. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the talent, you don't have the talent.
Yeah.
So they're 1-4, treading on Dunyan Rinks territory. But again, I am excited though, because seeing Drake May start will be very cool. And it'll be fun to see what he can finally do in a regular season game, and see, again, even with limited talent, if he can make anything out of it. So, but that's about it for that.
Been a tough watch. I think that's like the best way to describe them. It's tough to watch, like how, and I mean this applies to both teams, just how abysmal they look.
But the more this season goes on, the more grateful I am that they won in week 1. Because if they didn't beat the Bengals, I'd be sitting here wondering if they were going to go winless the whole year. Genuinely, it is awful.
Yeah, and it makes me feel foolish that I talked about. I was like, they seem like a well coached, like solid football team, and it's like, no, I mean maybe not poorly coached, but just not very good.
Well, after week 2, though, it made sense because they played a pretty decent Seahawks team very close and easily could have won that game. And it seems like they used up all their good mojo then. So
yeah, that game is going to live on in confusion.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Bengals win too. Like everybody's just going to look at it like, what the fuck? So
that's going to be like in 2016 when the Browns beat the Chargers for their only win of the year.
Yeah.
and you sit back and you wonder how the fuck that happened.
Speaking of the Browns, though, that's another team that might be onion rings as we head to Washington, where our team, led by our quarterback, Jaden Daniels, continued their upward ascension to the top of the NFL ranks with a dominating 34-13 win over the hapless Cleveland Browns. A bit of Pick'em's history. All three of us locked them in unison, and they won. I should point out that I am 0-3 locking the rest of the NFL this season and undefeated with the Commanders. So
just lock the rest of the year.
You might know where my allegiance is for the rest of the season.
This is a fun fucking team to watch, man. Like,
I can't
from
believe
all of our bits,
I'm a Washington fan at this point.
Just from a pure football standpoint, all bits aside, everything aside, this is probably the most fun team in the NFL to watch right now, and I fucking love it. There's a wave of energy and an aura that this team has that has not been seen, I think, since Joe Gibbs retired the first time.
It reminds me of like the first RG3 team where it was just like, holy shit, football can be fun.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm extremely impressed with Jaden Daniels is all the reports you hear about his like mental maturity and how he handles being a rookie, because like he's a rookie, so he's going to make mistakes. And if you listen to people talk about the way he approaches it, is he will make a mistake and he'll try these things just to see like what will happen if I try this. And then it was like, okay, I'm learning what I can and can't do. Like he's almost like experimenting. And then you listen to people talk about his like emotional maturity. Specifically, there was a play with Zach Ertz where I think he like dropped a wide open pass and Zach Ertz was like livid at himself, and Jaden was just like like patting him on the back like, hey man, don't worry, I got you. And the very next play he hits him with like a dead on pass, and that's somebody who's 10 years older than him. And he's like big brother and him like, don't worry bro, I got you, you're still good. I mean this team is just awesome,
especially apparent this week, seeing a fun football team in Washington going up against a boring, shitty, terrible monolith of the Browns. It really shows just the different directions these two franchises are headed, having been in the same spot for the last couple years.
Yeah, and I mean it wasn't a good game by Deshaun Watson. It was far from his worst. But I mean, it's still not good.
It's not good enough, and that's the problem.
It's hard for somebody to do anything when they get sacked 7 times. But even beyond that, he's cooked.
Yeah.
And that makes me so happy. I say it every week.
Did you see the clip in this game of Kevin Stefanski wanting to go for it on 4th down and Deshaun Watson just walked off the fucking field?
Okay.
Yes.
I did see that. That's because there were 12 men on the field. So they had to burn a timeout, I think.
Yeah, and Stefanski was like didn't know at first, and he was just like livid, like what the fuck is going on?
He looked beside himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some weirdness still, because I talked about the potential of a Kevin Stefanski mutiny of the football team.
They're committed to starting Watson still, and I don't know why.
Well,
They said so after this game.
So they asked Stefanski, and he just said, basically, he's our guy. He's gonna be the starting quarterback. And it was like some press release or something, or like a social media post that said something along the lines of he's our guy. And it was a quote attributed to Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam, and curiously, not Kevin Stefanski. So, just what are we doing here?
just like the Jets. This is what happens when you have an owner meddling with how to run a football team.
Yeah,
the owner should be there to shell out money to his front office to get the best team possible. He shouldn't have anything. He should have fuck all else to do with it. And
noted family that knows how to run things, the Haslams.
Yeah. The Haslams, the Johnsons, the Snyders, the McClaskeys, all of these people have no idea how to run a football team, and it shows in
or the
how their
Maras
team is presented. Yeah, or the Maras, or the Irsays, or everybody. Let's be honest.
AKA all the old fucks that have owned the team for 82 quadrillion years that have lost the fucking time and don't know what it takes to field a winning team anymore.
Yeah. You got motherfuckers that have been up there watching the same team since they've been wearing leather helmets, still trying to apply the same football philosophy. And
I was gonna say, isn't the Bears owner 101?
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on.
Like when she was growing up, she was watching Red Grange play for the Bears.
Virginia McCaskey is 101 years old. Yeah.
Oh, God. What was it the Tourette's guy said? She's the best woman in the world. God bless her. But she's old as fuck. You gotta move on.
Yeah.
And I think this is gonna be a stain that stays on the Browns for a very long time.
I mean,
probably
Jimmy Haslam
past
is a
the
felon.
Haslam sales. Yeah.
He's
a piece of
and
shit.
Also, he used to be a minority owner of the Steelers. The Browns are owned by a Steelers fan.
Yeah, they are.
Wait, you mean to tell me that Jimmy Haslam's a sleeper agent?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's like
I
when
didn't
Ron
know this.
Hextall was the
Yeah.
Penguins GM.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Jimmy Haslam sold his minority stake in the Steelers so he could buy the Browns.
Paul Brown must be fucking rolling in his grave, man.
That's how they power the lights at their stadium.
They have a
Jesus.
generator hooked up to him.
Oh.
Oh, God.
They did the same thing they did to Jimmy Hoffa, but they did it on purpose, and they're using him for the free energy.
That's fucking unbelievable.
Oh, God. I mean, Jimmy Haslam, in a way, is also indirectly responsible for unleashing Michael Annette on us for a decade.
That's true.
So,
And now it's Sammy Smith.
yeah.
Yeah,
He did technically win something this weekend.
That's true.
Yeah, he has as many wins this year as the Browns do.
Yeah, go listen to the Fake Racers podcast for more takes on that. Yeah, okay, over under by the end of the year, who wins more times, the Browns or Sammy Smith?
Well, he's in the round of 8 now, or is he in the Final Four?
He's in the round of 8.
I think he's in the round of 8.
Okay, I forgot where they were at that. But yeah, fuck the Browns. I'm so glad they're sticking with Deshaun Watson because they're fucking terrible. And Washington is showing that once you get your reprehensible piece of shit owner out of the limelight, you get somebody that's just focused on giving the team money. How much fun you can make things.
Yeah.
I know another
vibes.
I know
They've
another
been waiting
sports
a generation for this.
Another sports owner, gentleman, in the Western Pennsylvania area that could stand to learn a thing or two from Josh Harris.
Yeah.
I wonder who that could be.
That's right.
I wonder if Jimmy Hoffa would be a better owner than him.
I mean, he's not going to meddle with the team, so...
He'd pay his players.
He's not going to meddle with anything, to be honest.
God.
In fact, I think he'd make it so their entire new stadium would just be entirely concrete.
God. We should probably move on before we get too far into this bit.
Welcome to Oofsides.
Oofsides. Yeah, no, it's all but good. It's just all good vibes in Washington, which is an extremely weird sentence to say. Which that doesn't apply. Yeah, a team that the good vibes have rubbed off immediately, it seems like, because the Broncos beat the Raiders 34-18.
The vibes are deteriorating very quickly.
Yeah, the shine has very quickly come off of Antonio Pierce. And Gardner Minshew for that matter, because Gardner Minshew was pitching essentially a perfect game. I think it was 9 straight completions for their touchdown, or including a touchdown drive and a field goal on their first 2 drives. And then you had a Gardner Minshew turnover, and it all came unglued from there. And
that drive summary's not good.
Yeah, and then he was pulled for Aiden O'Connell, and it didn't get better.
I think this is just the city of Oakland enacting its revenge on the Raiders.
It might be, yeah.
It's still pissed off about the A's living, and it's got to take out its anger on somebody it never really got over. There's got to be a grudge there still. Because, Minshew and O'Connell combined, both of their stats combined, were 22 of 37 for 215 yards with a touchdown and 3 pretty shitty picks.
Man, I wonder why Devontae Adams wants out of here so badly.
Yeah.
To go to the Jets.
I mean, one bright spot, though, Brock Bowers is fucking legit.
Yes, he is.
Oh, yeah.
If there's one thing the Raiders have going for them, it's that.
Yeah. On the other side, though, big shout out Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I mean, we had seen a little bit of improvement at time to time, and this was a really solid game. 2 touchdowns, 200 yards passing. They got the ground game going. The defense was cooking all day. I don't think this is going to be... What the fuck? The Broncos are 3-2?
Yeah.
Hang on.
They've won 3 straight games. They beat the Bucs and the Jets, and now the Raiders.
Oh my god, I forgot about the Buccaneers game.
They're now 2nd in the division. Just like that. Maybe we were wrong about the Broncos.
Oh my god, they're in the playoffs right now.
They're
the 6th seed.
No, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the 2015 Broncos, where they had absolutely terrible quarterback play for half the year, and the defense fucking carried them all the way. This Broncos defense has been underratedly strong this year, and it's finally starting to show, especially in this game. And if Bo Nix can continue to improve week by week, shit, this might be a playoff team.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they had a pick 6 in this game, and I think 3 sacks. So 3 sacks and 3 picks.
Yeah.
That probably a top 5 defense in the league right now, I would say. That's the thing about Sean Payton is I hate his guts, but he's a hell of a coach.
He's a very good coach. I mean,
it was very funny to see Bo Nix get off to a very slow start this season, but he wasn't this bad in college. Once he started putting the pieces together, I figured he was going to start throwing, like an NFL quarterback.
Oh yeah. Also, because it got posted in here, but the raccoon that was in the crowd of this game, the picture of the guy carrying the raccoon by the scruff of its neck, I mean, just aesthetically is a really good metaphor for this game, because, I mean, the raccoon's colors are even, the same as the Raiders, and he's just being, escorted out of the field by a guy in a Broncos jersey and a cowboy hat. So, every picture paints 1,000 words, or however that saying goes. Yeah. That's about all I had to say about this game.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because this is now the 2nd time in 3 years where the Raiders had great vibes going, and within 4 games of the next season, they've sunk, have gone away, and they've looked like a mess of a franchise again.
Yeah, it is just kind of crazy, how much everybody loved the Antonio Pierce experience last year, and how quickly it's just oh no.
It looks like he's in over his head now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was great when you don't have anything to play for, but once you have to start fresh and have something to play for again, and once things get a little rough, that's when you really start to know if the guy is right or not, and it's getting a little rough.
Yeah. So that was Broncos Raiders. Raiders are not in a good way right now.
And still another 2-3, but yeah.
Yeah. Another team that might also not be in a good way right now, it's the San Francisco 49ers, because 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, who needs it? The Cardinals come back to win 24-23. The Cardinals are frisky, man. I think I mentioned this a few weeks ago. Like, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. They're going to play all the good teams really tough, and occasionally they're going to knock them off. And this was a prime example, because this was a game where Kyler Murray just kind of said, fuck it, I'm going to win this game at the end of it, and pulled it off with a field goal off of a 49ers fumble in the fourth quarter. On the Arizona 8-yard line, should also mention, like basically getting ready to punch it into the goal line or punch it in for a game-sealing touchdown and give the ball up. They get a field goal, and then Brock Purdy gets picked off, which leads to the Cardinals being able to ice this game out. Much like the last few weeks, Brock Purdy, I mean, this was one of his weaker games, but still has been pretty goddamn good this year. And the 49ers just can't. Yeah, they just can't close these games out. And Jordan Mason has another monster game on the ground. Brandon Ayuk finally has like his first great game of the season. But in the end, Kyler Murray, James Conner, and like all of the usual suspects through the air, like just willed themselves to victory in this game. Because I mean, this thing looked like it was over at halftime. It was 23-10, and they had all the momentum, and the Cardinals just would not go away.
This is kind of how I thought the Saints-Chiefs game would go.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
In all honesty. Couple weird things to note in this game, though. The Niners punter kicked a field goal because Jake Moody got hurt during the game.
About that. Yep.
Patriots legend Chad Ryland kicked for the Cardinals in this game because Matt Prater was hurt. Went 3 for 4.
The back of the ball.
The one that missed was blocked and run back for a touchdown.
And
oh my god, I forgot about that too.
And with how terrible Chad Ryland was with the Pats last year, it's fun for me to rag on him, but I'm genuinely happy for him. He got a raw deal in that whole thing. I'm glad he's having success somewhere else.
Yeah, well, so that was the interesting dynamic of this, was the Cardinals kick a field goal. At what time in the game was that? 1:40 left. That's a lot of time, right? Mm-hmm. But then you realize that it's like the 49ers can't kick a field goal here. They have to go for a touchdown. Which is why Purdy was throwing it so aggressively, and it backfired. Yeah, man, this Cardinals team is frisky. I don't really know how to put it otherwise. I'm just enjoying watching them every week.
Oh, gotta get our Greg Dortch update in.
Oh shit, that's right.
'Cause he is Greg Dortch, short king, proud of Glendale's football team. Scoring all the touchdowns for you. Punt return man, kickoffs too. He's Greg Dortch.
Greg Dortch on the day. 1 reception for 7 yards. Apparently he's also back on kickoff duty. 1 return for 27 yards. And 1 punt return for 0 yards.
Yeah.
And that was the Greg Dortch update.
Good stuff.
No Dortch down this week.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that elusive first Dortch down of the season. It'll happen though.
The Cardinals did have a solo tackle in this game though by Starling Thomas V.
That rules.
What?
Starling Merlin. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just word association at this
Yeah,
point.
sure, man.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I did not expect after week 5 that the 49ers are going to be third in the NFC West, but here we are.
They are currently, I believe, the number 15 seed in the NFC. No, sorry, the 14. Okay. Right ahead of the Los Angeles Rams. Good God.
Oh boy.
This one hurts.
Oh boy.
Second week in a row that God, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, that Jordan Love coughed it up. Can I do the ESPN pundit and be like, I got to put Malik Willis back in there. We're undefeated with him. As 224 yards and 2 touchdowns, but also an interception in this game. The Rams kind of blew this, though. They were up 13-10 at half and then gave up 14 unanswered to the Packers. Crawled back into it in the fourth quarter, and then unfortunately stopped on downs in the green, basically within field goal range. But they obviously weren't going to go for a field goal down 5.
I think you could.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. Kick it while down 5 with a minute left. That'll be right.
Yeah, just get the ball back.
Yeah, forehead. Yeah. Figure it out.
Yeah, the Rams obviously still have quite a bit of talent on the offensive side of the ball, but man, they are desperately starting to miss Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp because yikes.
Yep, both of them obviously still out.
It's really got to suck for Matt Stafford being as good of a football player as he is, Hall of Fame lock, and seeing the rest of his team around him, knowing that no matter how much you try, you're probably not going to win many games. And
yeah, because they've been in so many of them this season too, which is the frustrating part. Which also makes that 49ers win even more confusing.
Yeah. It's a weird team because once they're healthy, they're pretty good, but they're not healthy, and they're almost never healthy.
They're an extremely top-heavy roster.
Yeah.
So, also, this is the second time in a row that they've given up 24 points and barely lost by 1 score. So, pain. And it is crazy too. They're 1-4. 3 of their 4 losses were by a score. One of them was an overtime, and then they barely eked one out against the 49ers. The only bad one was getting stomped by the Cardinals.
That one was.
I think this is a good team, but like you said, yeah, they need everybody healthy in order to close these games out.
Yeah.
So Matthew Stafford's still slinging it, but unfortunately, coming up short.
You can only do that for so long. It's like, late stage Ben Roethlisberger throwing it 64,000 times a game to put up 14 points.
Yeah. It always just makes me think of their 2021 offense, which just consisted entirely of him having 8 rushers in his face and then going, here, Najee, you take it. And then Najee Harris fucking dying, and then they somehow still win.
Yeah.
Steelers football is inevitable.
Oh, more on that later.
But the Rams are also lucky that they won that San Francisco game, because if they hadn't made that comeback, they'd be sitting at 0-5 on the Dunyan Rings list.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so they're getting close to it now. So.
But let's see. I think they're on a bye this week, and they've got Las Vegas after that. So that game, I think, might be a Dunyan Rings bowl for somebody.
Yeah. They better hope they get off the mat, because they got the Vikings and the Seahawks coming to town after that.
Yeah, that's perhaps a sign of things to come.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Seahawks.
Yeah. What the fuck, Seahawks?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I think the Giants might be better than we're giving them credit for. I think that week 1 disaster has kind of clouded everybody, because this is honestly a pretty solid team.
Yeah, they're not bad.
Their other 2 losses were very close losses to potential playoff teams and also divisional opponents.
And also to Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah, noted divisional opponent of the Giants, the Browns. Anyway,
Yeah.
Even if the offense doesn't look all that great, and in this game it actually did, this Giants defense is getting kind of scary, man.
Yeah, I want to skip to the end of this game because I mean, Geno and Daniel Jones were just going back and forth. The Geno Smith revenge game didn't go well, unfortunately. And you get a sequence at the end of the game where they force a Giants punt after a 3-and-out, and they get the ball back. And on the very first play, down 3 with 1:40 left, Geno Smith himself runs 30 yards to immediately put them in field goal range. And like we talked about last week, Geno is not a rushing quarterback. So that caught everybody off guard.
It's the same reaction you get when Joe Flacco had the long run. It's like, why is he the one doing that?
Yeah. And so now they're at the Giants 34, 6-yard pass to Noah Fant, followed by 2 incompletions. And it's like, damn, you kind of wish you scrubbed a little more time off the clock, maybe move closer, but whatever. Set up for essentially a chip shot field goal. And then Isaiah Simmons just cleanly jumps over the safety, blocks the kick, and it gets run 60 yards back in the other direction for a touchdown. And just when you thought it couldn't get weirder because the Seahawks don't play normal games, Brian Daboll, without a kicker, or they lost their kicker too in this game, didn't they? If I recall correctly.
Did they?
Yeah, because they couldn't go for a point after at the end of this game because I believe Greg Joseph was hurt. And Brian Daboll trusts his quarterback so little that they lined up for like the point after and then called a timeout and then just had Daniel Jones kneel on a 2-point conversion attempt instead of handing it off or attempting a pass. Because like, okay, I understand you're up 9. You don't want to throw an interception and have it run all the way back. But like, Brian Daboll fears his quarterback throwing a 95-yard pick six so badly that he was like, nah, Daniel, just take a knee here.
Well, like, okay, but speaking of defensive touchdowns, though, the Seahawks in this game had a 102-yard stupid score touchdown.
I forgot about that. That was on the first drive of the game. Yeah.
It was on 4th and goal at the Seahawks 1, and they fumbled it into the end zone, and they ran it all the way back.
Brian Daboll, apparently afraid of lightning striking twice, was like, we're not doing that shit again. Just fall on it, Daniel. Dude, put the ball down. Put it down right now.
I would also like to point out, too, that was a 16-play, 79-yard drive that took 10 minutes and 1 second of game time to end on a 102-yard fumble return touchdown.
I'm watching it back. It's because of the aspect ratio, but we have another Steve Bono where it's one man on the field.
Yeah, I did notice that when I saw it. I was like, John Boyce is going to have a fucking field day with this.
Gotta put Steve Bono in the thumbnail now.
There it is. It's just on a track meet. That's got to go in the thumbnail,
gone.
Too. Yeah. So, I mean, this almost went from, like, oh man, tough loss for the Giants, but the Seahawks are still really good, to just like, what the fuck, Seahawks?
Shout out to Tyrone Tracy Jr., who got the start at running back for the Giants in this game because of the injury to Devin Singletary. And he popped off for 129 yards in his very first start. He's a rookie out of Purdue. I didn't even know who he was before this game. But, maybe the Giants just found a new running back for themselves?
Yeah, maybe. Saquon Barkley, step aside.
And, they're still 2-3, and they're still last in the NFC East. But, with the way they played this game, I mean, they've got the Bengals, who can't close out games in the next game, and they've got the Eagles after that, who have been struggling all year. So, I wouldn't count this Giants team out yet.
They're ahead of the 49ers on tiebreakers right now.
Yeah. Should also note that Bengals game is the Sunday night game this week.
Oh,
God damn it. I don't want to watch Daniel Jones.
Thanks, CBS.
Yep. Anyway, that wrapped up the Saturday or the Sunday afternoon lineup. And
Sunday
then we
night.
go to Sunday Night Football, where the Dallas Cowboys and Pittsburgh Steelers put on a show. The Cowboys tried so many fucking times to lose this game, but the Pittsburgh Steelers insisted, no, you take it. I insist. Come on. 3 separate times the Cowboys were stopped in the Steelers red zone. 3 different turnovers, a fumble, an interception, a turnover on downs. Or no, I might be wrong about that last one. I could have swore they did at some point. I don't know. Why does this one just say current drive? What does that mean? Oh, they missed a field goal. That's what it was.
The game's still going.
The game's not over.
Sorry, it was a missed field goal, not an interception. Or whatever. And even then, on the final drive, 2 fumbles on straight plays, or on consecutive plays. A Dak Prescott fumble out of bounds, lunging for the end zone, which he's lucky to not go through the end zone. The very next play, Rico Dowdle fumbles it on the goal line, and Dak somehow falls on it.
Watching Landon Roberts go over the top like that to punch the ball out was...
That was one of the
best. Wasn't even a punch, it was just a headbutt.
Yeah,
that was unreal.
Threw his body at the ball, and it worked.
I couldn't believe none of the Steelers fell on that. When I saw the ball fall, I thought that was the game.
Yeah, you're telling me.
And then the very next play, Dak just fires a piss missile that bounces off the ground and hits Jalen Tolbert in the fingers and I don't know if you ever jammed your fingies before on a football, but it hurts like a bitch.
Not great.
So much so that they had to take a timeout to let him recuperate. And then Dak hits him for the game-winning touchdown immediately after that. And then you had a really funny extra point sequence where
oh my god,
the Steelers were 100% trying to bait the Cowboys into going for 2 here. And they were like, no, we're not that stupid. Come on. Because they just kept jumping off sides repeatedly. It was so funny.
This game was weird from the beginning, though, because it got delayed an hour and a half.
Yeah, there was a big-ass thunderstorm that pushed everything back. So this game didn't end until 1 a.m. here. It was great staying up all that time to watch that game. Yeah, that was great.
Just to watch that and go, man, Matthew's going to be fucking insufferable when we record on Tuesday.
And Brandon Aubrey had a kick blocked in this game, too, which was almost jarring to see because of how good he's been. It was just a very weird game to watch. And, looking at the stat line, Dak ending with 352 yards, man, it certainly didn't feel like that at all.
Dude,
it felt like 150.
This game, it is funny for me to take this stance considering how critical I've been of Dak, but this game made me feel bad for him because I was like, man, this dude is playing his ass off right now and just nobody is helping him. Looking at you, CeeDee Lamb. I do want to talk about the weirdness of that real quick because CeeDee Lamb got his big paycheck and has done fuck all this season.
Bro, checked out.
Just like I talked about, ultimate bad body language. And in this game had a moment too where Dak made a really bad throw on to throw an interception on the goal line, and CeeDee said something to him and Dak was just having no part of it. People have been trying to lip read it. It looked like he said subpar ball. And then I don't think Dak targeted CeeDee a single time for the rest of the game after that. Because I was specifically watching for it. That final drive, he was never targeted. So there's some weirdness going on. There's some weirdness in the playoff game last year, and it's carried over to this season.
While we're on the topic, George Pickens, 7 targets, 3 receptions, 26 yards. Noticed by several people during the game that he was just not running his route. He was just kind of jogging it. And at the end of the game, I believe he got a face mask on somebody and yanked him to the ground because he didn't get a target or something like that.
Yeah, the Steelers did one of those big lateral, big whatever things to try to, get a touchdown at the end, which, by the way, made no sense because they had enough time to throw a ball out of bounds and then try for the end zone. Yeah. So I don't know why they immediately went straight for the lateral funny shit. But at the very end of it, I think it was the guy that recovered the fumble for the Cowboys. He grabbed him by the face mask and ripped him to the ground or something. Yep. And why?
Not
surprised. Why do that?
Not surprised hearing things about Pickens out of college, and it's going to be interesting to see how the team addresses that in the future.
Yeah.
Time to trade him for Devontae Adams straight up.
I would take that. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't really matter anyway, because the Steelers will just draft another really good wide receiver next year anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, like one of the big takeaways from this game too was this was not a very good game by Justin Fields.
No.
I mean, the Cowboys' pass rush was like relentless this night. Both defenses were playing unbelievably. But yeah, this was not a good game for Justin Fields, especially considering all the momentum they've had and the fact that, Russell Wilson is getting closer and closer to being healthy. And now all of a sudden you got people questioning like, well, maybe. Speaking of the defense though, TJ Watt, 100th career sack, did it on a forced fumble of Dak Prescott as well in the Steelers red zone. Huge play, huge night by TJ Watt just in general, as he always does. But
yeah. It's just one of those things. Running an entire team through one guy is bound to cause problems at one point. The injuries, just like the Rams, the Steelers' injuries are starting to rack up. That's probably why this team wasn't really that good on Sunday night. They're missing Jalen Warren. They're missing Cordero Patterson. They're missing Alex Highsmith. Nick Herbig got hurt.
And half their offensive line.
Yeah, most of their offensive line is already hurt. Like, if this team was fully healthy, they'd be pretty good. But that's not how football works. And if these things don't get any better, this might be the year the Steelers finish under 500.
It is crazy, like how quickly the shine has come off them from the last 2 weeks.
Same deal as the Bills.
It's the injuries. I'm glad they're getting it out of the way early on in the season instead of having these kind of injuries stack up around week 14, 15. So we'll see if they can rebound once people start coming back. But right now it's looking pretty ugly.
Agreed. Speaking of ugly football, the Kansas City Chiefs wrapped up the week with a win at home on Monday night over the Saints in a game that never really felt close. And this score sheet kind of is deceiving because this was complete and utter domination by the Chiefs.
This might be the weirdest 5-0 team ever.
Doubled up the Saints on passing yards as well, and I believe, and nearly on time of possession as well.
And in the score, which checks out.
And the score. This Saints team is so weird. Or not Saints, sorry. Well, actually, they are weird, but the Chiefs are weird, where they put up numbers. Juju Smith-Schuster had a huge game. Kareem Hunt had a big game. Yeah, sleeper agent. But I've never seen a team that makes offense look so agonizing while also putting up good numbers. Because the Chiefs just aren't fun to watch right now. Even if their numbers look good. I don't know why. I just kind of dread watching them because it's just remember when Pat Mahomes used to be fun to watch?
Yeah. It's just a very straightforward offense. And I mean, it's working, but it's a very boring team. They're only doing as much as they need to. They're basically doing what the Steelers are doing.
Yeah. On the Saints side, though, this game felt like it was kind of within reach early. They had some pretty good opportunities to take care of or to take advantage. I'm thinking of that 4th down throw that Derek Carr got hurt on. Fucking fantastic throw. But Tipton just can't come down with it, unfortunately. And that's the play where the main story of this game happens, which is Derek Carr suffers an oblique injury, which who knows how long he's going to be out. But I just don't know what to think of Saints now, man. Those first 2 weeks really seemed like they were fool's gold.
They
put all their fucking chips into those 2 games.
Yeah, I mean they lose a tight one to the Eagles, and then it's been 2 straight, and then lose a nail biter to the Falcons. Neither of those games they looked very dynamic on offense, and then looked even worse here. So
it's still nuts,
who knows?
though, because every NFC South team has played 5 games. None of them have had their bye yet. The Saints have still outscored the other 3, and they've still given up less points than the other 3, and yet now they look like the worst team in the division.
Yeah.
Another thing to note in this game is we did get a big man pick.
Yeah! Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Saunders. If we thought Derrick Henry was fast, if I saw Kalen Saunders running towards me, I would probably shit myself and die.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's like getting hit by a car at that point.
It's always good to see big men get their opportunity on the field.
Damn right.
That's real.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this game. This was kind of infuriating to watch.
It was a game. I mean, we had a Foster Moreau sighting. Pretty much it.
Yeah. And now, let's kick it over the dues.
Yeah, another week, another round of a bunch of injuries that fucking suck. Touched on the David Andrews one earlier for the Pats. Their starting center for a while now tore his rotator cuff, and if you know anything about David Andrews, is that it is that man will play through just about fucking anything. So for him to get put on injured reserve and miss the rest of the year means that is probably really fucking painful, and it's also sucks because that's like their major piece of the offensive line that's now done for a unit that's already been among the worst in the NFL. Good luck, Drake May, on Sunday. The Patriots also put their tackle Caden Wallace on IR with an ankle injury. Once again, good luck, Drake May, on Sunday. The Cowboys put Brandon Cooks on IR with a knee infection. I don't really know how that happened, but it did.
That sounds bad.
Got some grossy shit in there. The Dolphins lost Jalen Phillips for the year. He tore his ACL, and they also lost Javon Holland. He broke his hand in the Pats game. So 2 big losses there for the Dolphins on defense. The Bengals lost a pair of starters for the year against the Ravens. Dax Hill, their starting corner, tore his ACL, and their starting guard, Jackson Kirkland, tore his biceps. Owie.
Ow.
The Colts lost their starting guard, Will Freeze, for the year, or Fries, I'm not sure which. He fractured his tibia. Hope he can get that fixed quick, because, fuck. The Panthers lost their starting center, Austin Corbett, for the year. He tore his biceps against the Bears. The Cardinals lost their guard, Will Hernandez, for the year with a knee injury. The Cowboys lost Marshawn Nealand for probably a bit. That's how I phrased it, because they haven't really said yet. But he partially tore his meniscus, so probably a couple weeks at least. And it looks like Rashee Rice's knee injury, more on him later, has revealed to be a torn LCL. So his season might still be over, but very fortunate that there's no more ligament damage than that. So with how nasty of an injury that looks to be. So we'll see how that goes. The 49ers, who haven't had enough injuries already, have lost Yetur Gross-Matos for multiple weeks, who underwent knee surgery, and their kicker, Jake Moody, suffered a high ankle sprain against the Cardinals, so he's out for a couple weeks. The Seahawks put Uchenna Nwosu on IR with a thigh injury. Derek Carr is likely out multiple weeks with that oblique injury he suffered against the Chiefs, which, an oblique injury is a weird one for a football player. It's a very common baseball injury, but very uncommon in the NFL, but that's the luck Derek Carr has over the last 3 weeks. Christian Wilkins, the standout defensive end for the Raiders, suffered a Jones fracture in his foot, so he's out indefinitely. Rip Raiders defense. And Aaron Jones is week to week with a hip injury, but good thing the Vikings are on bye this week. The 49ers signed Matthew Wright as a result of the Jake Moody injury, and the Eagles cut Devin White, who is yet to play in the game this year. So, I don't know why he hasn't played, but if he does, he will not be for the Eagles.
He was like a liability for the Bucs the last 2 years, if I'm thinking of the right player, and then signed to the Eagles. And it was like in 2020, he was like the centerpiece of a Super Bowl winning defense, and now he can't even make a roster, and nobody really knows what happened. Like, he just kind of became a malcontent and then ran himself out of Tampa. So I don't know what's up there.
Yeah, and we touched on it earlier, obviously, but we've talked a lot about Doug Peterson's job security this year, talked a bit about potentially John Harbaugh's job security and a couple of others. But alas, it is Robert Saleh that gets fired first this year, and the Jets have named defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich the interim head coach for the remainder of the year. So, obviously the roster is unchanged, but it'll be interesting to see how this team responds with their defensive stalwart head coach no longer there. And, excuse me, said there'd be more on Jabril Peppers later. Well, here it is, and it sucks. He was arrested at his home in Braintree, Massachusetts on Saturday for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, strangulation, and possession of a Class B substance believed to be cocaine. Yay!
There's nothing wrong with a little Colombian marching powder.
Yeah.
Everything else is bad, but...
Yeah, and again, a lot of injuries on the Pats defense. Jabril Peppers, of course, a team captain on defense. So this just sucks. And him and his defense team are, claiming that, what actually happened was basically the polar opposite. They claim to have video evidence that supports their side of the story. So I don't know how that's all going to go, but not a great look either way, obviously. And I'm sure even if he's gets healthy, because he missed the game with injury, might not play for a while either way. So, yeah. Times are not great in Foxborough. And our WTF, or What the Football moment of the week. I promised there'd be more on Rashee Rice, and here we go. So, his mom, right? His mom has a custom Mama Rice jersey, and she allegedly was caught on security camera footage walking up to her neighbor's doorstep while wearing that Mama Rice jersey and stealing a package containing Chappell Roan records.
Take me hard to go. What the fuck, man? I mean, first off, the fact that it's like they specified that it's a Chappell Roan record is really fucking funny. Because, like, imagine if they you'd be like, yeah, they stole a Carly Rae Jepsen record, and people would be like, eh. I mean, I would be upset. But
I really struggled with this football moment of the week because there's also rumors going around that Stephon Diggs had had an affair with Cardi B while she was pregnant with Offset's kid. And I really wasn't sure which one to put, but I wanted to mention them both anyway. But there's actually concrete evidence of this Rashee Rice one, so I was like, yeah, let's go with that one. But both of them, man, what the football?
I mean, I like that too. She did it too, wearing a shirt that basically said, "My son is extremely famous."
Yeah, it's like, but that's the thing. Rashee Rice is going to be a multi-millionaire, bro. You could have asked him to get that for you.
Just get Spotify, man. Like,
it's $10 a month.
Yeah. Just go on YouTube. Install an ad blocker. There you go.
I feel like while we're on the topic, this is a good time to bring up this stat. Since joining the Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson has settled more lawsuits than he has thrown for touchdowns.
Jesus fucking Christ. Though, now that I think about it, I don't really know if his mom or Rashee Rice's mom could have asked him to get it for him because driving her to the store might not be a good idea.
Oh. See, I was going to be like more tasteful about it. It was just like he's dealing with a knee injury that people were like, this could be like career ending or whatever, which thankfully it doesn't look like it's going to be that way. And then he's like looking on his phone and he sees video of his mom stealing shit and he's like, come on,
football.
So yeah, that is one of our, it's definitely one of the weirder ones.
Yeah. And on this day in football history, in 2018, Drew Brees passed Peyton Manning for the most passing yards in NFL history. Of course, he's now second behind Tom Brady, but it was a pretty big fucking deal then.
Was that the one where he threw it and they did the thing, and then the next throw was for negative yardage or something like that?
I don't know, but that would be really funny if that's how it happened.
You might be thinking of the Falcons running back from the 70s.
That's right.
He hit 1,000 yards and they gave him the game ball, and then the very next play he lost yards that put him under 1,000, and then he didn't get the ball back again. Dave Hampton, that was his name. Yeah.
Oh.
Dave Hampton did eventually get his 1,000-yard season. So.
That's the most Falcons thing ever.
Yeah.
I think we know what the most Falcons thing ever is. Let's be honest.
It's up there. Yeah.
Honorable mention. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's kick it over to Dunyan Rings. We got to put the Panthers on there again.
I was going to say the Panthers.
So they are now a 1-4 record in Dunyan Rings.
Andy Dalton.
We'll see.
Not yet.
I am willing to submit the Dolphins and the Patriots.
I would say yes to the Dolphins, no to the Patriots. I'd like to see how they do with Drake May first.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take that. Yeah,
the
Dolphins are Dunyan Rings, though.
The Dolphins
have we ever Dunyan Rings the team the same week they've won?
That's a good question.
They just won on the road, and we put them on Dunyan Rings.
Yeah, but did they?
Well,
I can tell you win that game.
I can tell you who didn't win. The fans in that game. Can we put the fans on Dunyan Rings for that game?
Yeah, we're putting the fans on there.
Because holy.
Oh god, who else was I thinking about? Let's see. It'd be really funny to put the Bengals on there because they are technically last in the AFC right now.
I mean, they're still a very good team, but at the end of the day, they're still 1-4 and arguably the toughest division in the NFL.
Yeah.
They got time.
You know what's Dunyan Rings is the Will Levis funny pictures in the thumbnail streak that we had going.
Yeah, stupid Titans having a fucking bye week.
Yeah, presumably because of woke.
Yeah, well, he probably threw a pick to the bye week anyway. I'm sure there's a picture somewhere.
All right, yeah, Will Levis pictures in the thumbnail is also Dunyan Rings. Yeah, I think that's it then. All right.
Yeah.
I guess we'll move it over to pick they thems. I do want to talk about some pick they them stats because I should just recap it how we do every week. Big shout out to my late afternoon stretch where I got the following picks wrong in a row: Bills, Bengals, Raiders, 49ers, Seahawks. Let's go. 7-7 record for me. Steven went 9-5. Dewey, you went 7-7. We blocked the Commanders.
I was the only one to pick the Texans, though. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. Other notable picks from this week that we got wrong. I mean, my tie picked in the Dolphins-Patriots game didn't work.
We all got the Bucks wrong, which was something.
Steven was the only one to pick the Ravens.
And the Cardinals.
And the Cardinals.
Fuck you, motherfuckers. I know what I'm talking about.
I was the only one that picked the Bears and the Cowboys.
And you were the only one that picked the Chiefs right, which makes no fucking sense.
I was the only one that picked the Dolphins because Matt picked a tie.
Yeah.
That one almost shouldn't count for how
that felt like a tie.
Game it was.
Yeah.
I can tell you what that felt like. It was fucking misery. That's what it felt like.
Don't care. I'm the king of shit mountain. You can't take that away from me.
Big shout out to all of us picking the Bucks and Seahawks. So we know
nothing.
That's
a wet fart by the Seahawks.
Yeah. Well, they have a chance to redeem themselves because they're hosting on Thursday night against the 49ers. Kind of a back against the wall game for both teams. I mean, the Seahawks will feel better definitely if they lose, but this is definitely a must win if you're the 49ers.
The Niners are just so banged up that, like, as talented of a team as this is, with the injuries piling up the way they are, they're going to find themselves in a pretty bad spot if they keep losing. But
yeah,
I'm going to pick the Seahawks here, honestly.
I have to go with the Seahawks. The Niners are just too hurt.
Damn.
Yeah,
I
think this is going to be a game where health alone wins them the game.
They did not expect to lose McCaffrey for the whole year, and now it's going to bite them in the ass.
Yeah, I wanted to pick the Seahawks because I thought they're going to be pissed off, and now I'm like, damn it, I don't want to go unanimous against the 49ers, but at the same time, fuck it, go Seahawks. So that's my pick. And then we kick off Sunday afternoon, Jaguars, Bears. This is in London, isn't it?
Probably.
Oh, yeah, this is the London
It's game. The Jags. There's a good chance it's in London.
This has the potential to actually be a pretty good game. Which is crazy to think about going back a couple years ago and be like, Jags Bears, that's going to be an absolute like gunslinger battle, offensive showcase.
I I'm gonna say the Jaguars are gonna impress in front of their home crowd and pull off the victory in London.
God, this one's tough.
Man, imagine if they had played in 2021 and that coaching matchup was Urban Meyer and Matt Nagy. Look at how far we've come.
Oh.
Go back even further, and it's what Gus Bradley versus Mark Trestman.
Oh fucking Jack Del Rio and Lovie Smith. Oh man.
I think I'm gonna go with the Bears here. I think they've got the hot hand and they're gonna keep it rolling.
This is gonna be a Dunyan Rings game for the Jags if they lose, but I think the Bears are a more consistent football team. I'm gonna go with them, but I think of all the games this week, I think this might be the one I have the least amount of confidence in getting right.
Yeah, same. And I can't wait to not hear the end of it when the Jaguars win.
Yeah, we have fucking Motormouth over here.
We kick off the regular afternoon slate. Buccaneers at Saints. Very much feels like a must-win game for both teams. The Bucs, 2 tough losses.
The Saints are reeling.
Yeah, and the Saints are collapsing. Probably going to be without Derek Carr as well. It
sounds like the plan for now is going to be for them to start Spencer Rattler in this game.
I'm going to be locking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ooh.
I'm going to be picking the Bucs. I don't have the confidence to lock them, though, because crazier shit's happened.
I believe in Baker.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bucs as well. I think it'll be another good game from Baker, and I think Todd Bowles is going to dial up something special to make Spencer Rattler's life hell.
I sure hope so with how they just played against Kirk Cousins. They need a fucking rebound.
Yeah. And especially, too, with Vita Vea being back, and, he's going to be dialed in on Alvin Kamara. So, yeah. Then we get to kick off Commanders at Ravens. Cannot believe this is a fucking awesome game that I'm looking forward to.
This could be the game of the year.
NBC really tried to flex this, and CBS told him to fuck off.
Super Bowl preview. I think I'm going to go with the Ravens. I don't know why. They're just my gut feelings telling me that.
I got to be honest here. This kind of feels like a student versus master kind of game. I have the same vibe from this game as I do when Brady and Mahomes played in 2018, where obviously Lamar is still really good and is still arguably in his prime, but it almost feels like 2 very, very, very similar type of players where one could potentially be passing the torch off to the other. But I still think the master is going to win the first game. I'm going to pick the Ravens in this one.
I can't believe I'm picking against our team.
I want to pick the commies so bad, but we just saw what the Ravens did this past weekend, and this is just 2 really good teams at their peak, and I think experience is going to matter in this one, where it gets down to the end in the nitty-gritty, where you need to have the experience and the wherewithal to know exactly what to do. I think Lamar has that, and that's just something that Jaden Daniels as a rookie just doesn't have yet.
Yeah.
I think our team is going to pull off the stunner in Baltimore.
I'm cool with it happening. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, I can't tell you how much of a game changer having a stream deck is. It's just
I think
it's just loaded and ready to go whenever I need it.
I think this game could end 54-51 like that Chiefs-Rams game.
Oh my god. That would go so hard.
Potential to be crazy. Watch, we're going to be back here next week, and it's going to be the Ravens won 7-4.
Jaden Daniels fucking died. And...
No, Jaden Daniels goes 29 for 32 for 560 yards and no touchdowns.
It's just going to be he gets tackled, and then he just disappears and ends up in the back rooms.
He just clips through the ground.
Yeah. Dude, I want somebody to make that edit now of there's somebody gets tackled, and then when the defender gets up, there's just nobody there. Oh no, he's gone.
I think TJ Watt did that one time.
Probably. Then we go to Cardinals at Packers. Speaking of TJ Watt's former teams.
What?
What?
Or not TJ Watt. Sorry, JJ Watt.
JJ Watt never played for the Packers.
He played for the Cardinals.
I said teams. I heard. Anyway, fuck. Who
Dude,
cares?
you're fired.
Maybe the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cardinals as well.
Man, this one. The more I think about it, the more interesting it could be.
I don't think Jordan Love is at full strength just yet.
I'm gonna pick the Packers here, though. Not very confidently, but I am.
All right, and then Colts at Texans.
Titans.
There's Titans. God, I can't speak right now. I'm stupid.
We knew that.
I'm Joe Buck, and I like a quick fuck.
This is like the earliest in this. Actually, no, last week when we had Dolphins Patriots was like the earliest. The game just doesn't fucking matter, and I feel like that's how this game is going to go too. Although Joe Flacco does make the Colts kind of frisky, but I don't think either of these teams are really going to matter. Fuck it, give me a tie.
I'm going to pick the Colts.
Then I'll take the Titans. Somebody's got to get this right.
It's got to work eventually, right?
I believe in Mayo, man.
Nope. There's going to be a massive tornado that destroys the Titan Stadium. Game gets canceled. I'm picking a canceled game.
I'm picking a hurricane.
God damn it.
Yeah, Milton's going to make a left turn straight for Nashville.
Texans at Patriots. Speaking of Mayo, man, Gerard Mayo with his new quarterback starting at home. I'm tempted to lock the Texans on this one.
Nope, don't care. It's Mayday. Pats for the upset.
There's no way you can't take the Texans here.
Yeah.
Y'all gonna look real stupid.
It would be really fucking
right.
funny if the Patriots won, though.
It would be objectively hilarious if the Patriots won this game.
I'm just like, I think the Texans are still gonna win, but like, this is probably the most excited I've been for a Pats game since week 1 of last year. So like, I'm cool with this. We'll see what happens.
All right. Then we get Browns at Eagles.
Ew. Ew. How about a meteor?
I have to take the Eagles, but I don't feel good about it.
Man, I'm going to feel dirty no matter who I pick here.
I mean, a tie is an option.
I'm going to wallow in the crapulence and take the Browns, because they have a very good defense.
Yeah, well...
I think Big Dom is going to walk up and snap Deshaun Watson in half at halftime. Give me the Eagles.
It'll be a preferable outcome. Chargers at Broncos. Ugh. How badly do I not want to watch this game, and what are the odds that it's going to be the only one that's on in my area?
Justin Herbert has not played well this year, and the Broncos defense is on a roll. I'm going to pick the Broncos.
Yeah, give me the Broncos.
Broncos Conti.
Fuck it. Give me Broncos. I don't want to pick the Chargers. I'm sick of the Chargers.
A Broncos sweep pick in the year of our Lord 2024.
I can't believe I'm already sick of the
Harbaugh Chargers.
I'm like already sick of the Chargers. Get him out of my sights. I don't want to see him. Steelers at... Oh, what?
I was going to say their Jim Harbaugh aura points have already been phantom taxed. It's over.
Shut the fuck up.
No!
Can we replace everything you say on this podcast from now on with like the noise the adults make in the peanut shorts?
I was just thinking the same thing. Wah, 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 wah. Actually, I have that on my soundboard somewhere. Hang on.
An overwhelming surplus of wah, 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 wah.
Steelers at Raiders.
I'm going to pick the Steelers, but the Steelers don't beat the Raiders. They got theirs last year. They're not doing it again. But I'm still picking the Steelers.
We do not care.
Give me the Steelers.
Oh.
Man, Antonio Pierce has not committed to naming a starter for this game yet, so it could be Gardner Minshew. It could be Aiden O'Connell. Either way, the Steelers are going to overcome their anti-Raiders good play Juju, and they're gonna win because man, the Raiders are a fucking mess.
It's time for the wild card.
I'm gonna Nope, I'm gonna do the unthinkable. I'm gonna pick the Raiders because they're gonna win this fucking game.
Picking against your own team is a sin. Fuck
They're
you.
going to win this fucking game.
Look, the Texans are beating the Patriots. I'm still picking them though.
Yeah, and I'm winning.
We do not care.
Yeah. Falcons at Panthers.
The Panthers have the chance to do the funniest thing ever.
I was gonna say the Falcons should win this, but this is the exact type of shit that they would lose.
Like, I'm thinking of the clip at the end of the Falcons game on Thursday when Kirk Cousins was like dancing with the fans after the game, and like how it's almost rejuvenated how Atlanta fans feel about football. And man, it would just be so fucking funny if the Panthers turn around and beat them the following week and everybody starts calling for Kirk's head again. And for that reason alone, I'm picking the Panthers. I'm 0-2 with picking them this year. It's got to work at some point.
How have you picked the Panthers 3 times? What?
Because
hang on.
I picked them week 1 and I picked them last week.
Make better choices. What are you doing?
What do you mean? I'm picking them again. That's a better choice.
No, it's not.
I'm manifesting what I want to happen.
Dewey's most picked
You know
team
what?
is
No,
the
he's
Panthers.
right. He's right, because I'm doing the same exact thing.
Oh my god.
You're-
I will not be picking the
Yeah!
Panthers. Give me the Falcons.
No,
I'm tempted to lock
I
the
didn't-
Falcons just to
no,
spite you guys.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want the Panthers. Give me the fucking
Oh.
Falcons.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying he's using the same thought process I am. He's just using it on the wrong game.
And when the Panthers win 14-9, and we're on this show next Tuesday, you gotta give me my fucking flowers for it.
Doesn't matter. I'll be in the same boat because the Raiders are going to win on Sunday.
Sure, man.
Yep.
Sorry to hear that,
I'll
man.
see you here next week.
Lions at Cowboys.
Loins.
Yeah, well, I know we just talked about picking against your team, but I'm going to do that. The Lions are going to win, so. Cowboys are not very good. Fuck, I don't know what team I'm going to lock. I haven't thought about this.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Sunday night football, Bengals at Giants. Honestly, could be kind of interesting.
This is
Giants.
a lot friskier than I thought.
Yeah.
I think
said, give me the Bengals.
Yeah, my gut is telling me the Bengals, but God, would it be funny if they lost this game? It would be so funny.
When was the last time
genuinely though, like I think it's possible. The Giants' defense has been playing really well the last couple weeks.
Wasn't the last time the Giants were on primetime, that was the game they got thrashed like 40-0?
Yeah, it was week 1 last year. I remember that game fondly.
And we pray it happens again.
Yeah, and then finally Monday night, the Bills visit the Jets. This is a conundrum because it is a fired head coach game, which I normally lock, but I really don't want to lock the Jets. I don't think I've ever locked the Jets.
Jets.
Both of these teams are a mess right now.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers finally has his head coach as the general manager of the team, and they're going to win like 41-3 or something.
Oh boy.
God.
I'm going to hate watch the fuck out of this game. I want you to know that.
I'm going to stick with the Bills. So what's my gut's telling me?
Yeah, I'm going to be picking the Bills as well, but
you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking for soldiers.
I hope the Jets get their shit kicked in this game so bad. Please. Aaron Rodgers needs to get the full Jets experience.
He does. I'm going to lock the Texans also.
Oh boy. I'm going to lock the Eagles.
All right.
Interesting.
I was hoping you'd lock the Panthers. I thought that would have been funny.
That's overkill.
No, you should commit
that's
to
a
it.
little too nuts.
Commit
Quadruple
to it.
Down.
Be a goddamn man.
How many ties have I predicted this season? Too many. I think 3. I think I predicted 3 ties this year. Yeah, I have.
I'm also switching my pick to the Falcons. I can't keep up with that. If the Panthers win, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
You're a coward.
All right, now it's pick they dems. Their locks of the Bucks, Texans, and Eagles. Who knows how that's gonna go? This has been Oofsides here on Track and Turf Media. You can follow the link below. Also, go listen to the Fake Racers podcast for some good racing takes. We yelled about Talladega and why people are a bunch of whiny little bitches about it. So that was fun.
Yeah.
That's where you can hear more from me. Anything you guys want to plug other than the normal stuff?
Plug!
I need to come up with a different word for this.
Plug.
Anyway, I'm just gonna assume no, and I'm gonna end the fucking show.
Plug!
Please get us out of here.
Plug.
I'll see you next time. Bye.
Plug.
Plug.
Plug. Plug. Plug. Plug.
I was gonna see how long that was going.